So when using backing vocals, you almost always use them to go under other vocals to kind of enhance that. But literally, the purpose of backing vocals or any backing instrument is to enhance another instrument. And so, a lot of electronic music and a lot of music I write lately has been instrumental. But the thing is, I want to use the voice as a great instrument. So check this out. So we have this main riff here. So, okay, kind of witch housey lead on top of this like really thick cyberpunk kind of chorus. Okay, well, at the end of the song, that chorus drops down and has like a quiet version of that. And I wanted the last choruses to have more, but I can't just like add a bunch of crap. And so I really like, it's kind of pushing the intensity at nearly at the limit. So I'm like, all right, well, how can I add on this to make this a little bit more interesting? So we have this big old breakdown. So I have this quiet, glitchy vocal here. And so what I did is that if we zoom in right on top of this guy, and so it's really imperative on any backing vocals that you do that they don't dominate and take over and are more interesting than the actual main melody, because that's their backing, then it defeats the whole purpose. And especially instrumental music, inherently our ears are going to want to hop towards that vocal. So I'm like, how can I make this so it doesn't sound too interesting and only enhances it? I want it to be subtle. Obviously, I can turn it down, all this stuff. And a big way I did this was like I don't want this to be comforting either, because in this song's kind of unsettling. It's kind of sad. It has this like kind of cold Russian like town, kind of like just dilapidated, kind of hopeless kind of feel. And the way I did this, so check this out. So there's a couple of things I did here. One is I cut this pretty harshly. I intentionally sang this kind of and did a bad edit. I wanted this to have this harsh cuts in between notes to kind of have that dun 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 dun, as opposed to like obviously in a vocal when you edit, you usually don't want it to be all smooth together. It's like no, I want this to be a little bit unnatural. And so I cut this. Yeah, so as this kind of like, in a couple of notes I intentionally pitched, I sang it a wrong note and I've intentionally pitched it down. And a couple I do blend together as you normally would with vocals. On top of that, and I tune it real, like auto-tune the crap out of it. And normally I don't do that, but again, I want to re-emphasize that almost synthetic, cut, glitchy feel. But this is really where it gets interesting. So it still sounds like a vocal. It has like a radio kind of vibe to it, but it's still very much like a human vocal. So how can we turn that into this? So zoomed in, you can kind of hear the lyrics I'm saying. I use four different pitch shifters on top of the dry track. So this becomes 5 different sounds at once. So if we solo this, so I'll play a lot with a format shifting, which is different than pitch shifting. It basically doesn't actually change the note. They're just saying just kind of the tonality of what you're doing. So if you can turn it up, it adds a bit of a girly sound to it. Turn it down, adds a little bit more of like a masculine kind of sound to it. And you can combine that with, if you combine that with pitch shifting, so I'm gonna show you, like, this is just shifting one of them, and I have different ones panned to different places. So this, I hop an octave down on this one and move the format up. Generally, I will do those opposite because the moving a pitch down creates these weird artifacts. Format can kind of offset some of them, and this is a little bit to the left here. So okay, and without that format, it's a little too much like this, and so I want to add a little bit of clarity back with that. Okay, that's one shifter. I have another one here, and this one's up an octave, and I kind of do the opposite thing with the format shifting here. This one's to the right a little bit. And without that format shifting, check it out. Yeah, I don't want the chick monkey sound. I want that pitch that high, but I like that format kind of almost has like this childlike sound to it. And then I hop over to this guy, which is this is another octave down, and the format's a little bit different. And this one's all the way to the right. And then it kind of that like distorted, and that was a little bit quieter though. That one just adds, and I notice I have one octave on one side, one octave down on one side, one octave down on the other side, so it kind of has that stereo feel to it. And then on the other one, I have an octave up with nothing special. This one's gonna sound a little chipmunky, but it's pretty quiet and it's to the left. And so we put all those together. So this is, and then I have the dry sound, obviously, which you've already heard. And so we put these all together. And it's almost as if I doubled the part. And again, I really don't want this to be like too eye-catching. I don't want it to be like, oh, there's a human voice, I can relax now. It's like, no, your job here is to accent that existing lead. And so all together, it's a pretty subtle effect, but I really think it really adds to that. There's so many edits through all this because I really wanted that glitchy, cutty feel. And then I slowly bring it back on the end a little bit more. Again, it's not like a mass, it's not matter date. Again, this is a backing instrument. And usually, I know you normally use vocals as the forefront, but I didn't want to do that in this song. So yeah, I thought this was a really interesting way to kind of switch roles on instruments that usually aren't one's the forefront, one's the back. I'm like, nah, we're doing it backwards this time. And I really think it has this cool, kind of eerie, unsettling feel, but still has able to connect with that. And I'm able to slip some lyrics in there so I can get her writing cred. Yay.